Hello, welcome to this episode of Live and Let. Today, to shoot today's episode, I did not have to go too far away from my house because this is in my house, in my garden with my husband, Pushkar. Hi, Pushkar.
Hello.
So, Pushkar is an avid gardener and he's been gardening since probably forever under the supervision of his grandmother first, and now that we have our own backyard and front yard, he is all in the gardening. So let's take a tour of the gardening. What do you say, Pushkar?
Yeah, let's go.
All right.
All right, so let's start in my rose garden. You know, growing up, we had a nice, beautiful rose garden in front of our house. So when we moved in here, I always wanted to have a rose garden. So I kind of created this patch of this bed, so to say, put some white rock down there to contrast the roses. And then right now I have 3 roses here, but my plan is to probably have a few more here next year or so. They bloom up to June, and then later on in late August through October, when the weather cools down, they'll bloom back again. Roses have a little bit of maintenance. It's not too bad. I usually deadhead those roses and fertilize them once a month. We got a short summer here, so say for the 4 months of summer, I put down organic fertilizer at the start of the month, and I got good results this year and even last year. So they'll bloom prolifically when the weather is not too hot, and mid-July through mid-August they'll slow down a little bit. This is one of my favorite features of my garden. This is the rain garden, which actually is environmental friendly. It is also called the pollinator garden, and I got it with the house. It's basically a low-lying area next to the road. So all the road runoff will first accumulate in this garden and then filter through. And that's why it's a benefit to the environment. Here I have some pollinator plants, some native bees and butterflies love this. And as long as it's kept under control, this does not need a lot of maintenance. Every April or so, I just clean it up with dead twigs, take out the dead twigs, and there is no other maintenance. So I planted this, this part of it like last year. So you can see you got a lot of flowers here, and then going up, this is planted this year. So the flowers are not very dense, but these natives will, they need a year or two to set in. But once they do, then they'll grow prolifically, and it will have a lot of flowers all through the season. This one has been blooming since mid-June, and I believe this will bloom all through September. So the white flowers are cone flowers. They are natives. They are very hardy plants. They'll come up every year, and no matter you fertilize or not, they will produce a lot of flowers. Some of them are ornamental, like peonies. They are done for this year. They usually bloom in May, and then
and when they bloom, it's
a beautiful flower,
and a very nice smell to it. We probably should have taken this video a little earlier, but oh well.
It's short-lived though. Yeah. Hey, we got sandhill cranes there. We get a pair of sandhill cranes here, and sometimes they even come as close as 20 feet from the edge of my property.
Yeah, they're like 3 feet tall or so.
Yeah.
And we also used to get swans. I don't know what happened to them. They don't come anymore, but they just make an appearance probably once or twice a year.
Yeah, once in spring and once in fall.
Yeah.
They don't live here. Sandhill cranes come here every evening. But that's my point, because we have so much wildlife here. I'm focusing this garden more on natives, pollinator friendly plants. Last fall, I threw a bunch of wild seeds behind my property, and as you can see, this year I got a lot of flowers blooming already. Right now the yellow black-eyed Susan are in full bloom. There is some milkweed behind, and there'll be some blue flowers, I forgot the name, but they'll bloom a little later. And then in the front, I made this bed this May. The idea was to have annuals on either end and then have some natives in the middle. So like for example, here I got a blueberry. It didn't produce this year. Oh, there is a blueberry. There's a tiny one. So this is the first blueberry and I don't see any. So this is the last blueberry. So this is blueberry, daylilies. Got some liat here. One nice place to purchase plants cheap is Craigslist. I actually got those two liatris on Craigslist, and it's blooming this year, so next year I'm sure it'll do much better. I have some raised beds here to grow vegetables. If you come back here, this is a Wi-Fi controlled timer, and then you can see the hose going down, the drip tube going down, and then it comes up in each of these beds, and you can see the small drippers.
Yeah.
So it'll water automatically every day in the evening, and if it's going to rain, it will not water them.
Great.
Look at the tomato. It's almost like a cascade. Once the tomatoes start ripening, you get just too many tomatoes just from one tree. So if anybody wants tomatoes, call me. So I got some carrots. These are green peppers, bell peppers, some basil. My sugar snap pea is not doing very well this year. The idea here is to have a snack in the garden.
Yeah, and you can just eat it right off because Pushkar does not spread any pesticides on them, right?
Yeah,
This is all organic.
Yeah, this is all organic. I think in a month or so, we'll have some good onions. This is just coleus. It's an ornamental
Show
plant.
What else have you planted?
This is spicy peppers. It's like more of a red chili, like Indian pepper.
Yep.
More onions, eggplants. Eggplants are also a prolific producer. I'll get like a dozen eggplants from each plant every year. Sometimes you have failures, sometimes you have successes. Like you will see a big failure right here. These are cauliflowers. I got a small one here. That's good.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Finally.
Let's see what we got here. There's nothing here, so
Yeah, the other day we took the cauliflower thinking that it would be full, and there was actually no cauliflower. It was just leaves.
if you have a plot of land or you don't have any landscaping around your house, it's actually the best case scenario. You can imagine and you can create whatever you like, whatever your preferences are. What I would say is generally people go and start veggie gardens, which is perfectly fine. But think about your garden as, there are different types of gardens. You can have a veggie garden, you can have a wildflower garden, you can have a cut flower garden, depending on whether you have sun or shade. I would highly encourage everybody to research and plant natives because they are very useful to birds and bees and all the wildlife that lives around you. But yeah, one of the best part about gardening is thinking and coming up with designs. There are several elements. You can play with textures, you can play with colors, You can play with heights of plants. You can use, pavers and rocks, lights. A rock garden, that's another great idea where you can have a small patch of land full of rocks, big and small, and you can plant flowers in the crevasses, or there can be a potted garden, pots of different sizes, shapes.
Right, so thank you for giving us valuable information, Pushkar. And it was a great episode, and Pushkar also has some indoor gardening that probably will do an episode on that in the winter, because that is when that one is flourishing. And we also have a wall garden. But more about that in the next episode whenever we do next one with him. But for now, I just wanted to thank him and thank you for the beautiful garden in our backyard.
All right, see ya later.